Hello and welcome to New Meta Podcast episode 73. We've had a major, we've had TrueSight, we've had patch 7.24. We're going to be talking about those three things in this episode as much as we can. I mean, you could probably talk about each one of those things, certainly the patch, for a whole episode. But so we'll try and cram it into the best of our ability. Joining me as always, Marco and Adam. Marco, how are you?
Yellow. Doing very well, thank you.
Enjoy TrueSight. You've actually watched more than me because you've watched post-game. I've literally just finished watching TrueSight about 15 minutes ago. I haven't seen any follow-up, but...
Yeah, man. TrueSight was really good. As to be expected, it was just such high quality. The storylines, blah, blah, blah. Everything was just so immense. Some of the kind of DotA cinematography or whatever you call it was really, really cool. Like the Meepo... animations and the IO. Yeah, really strong. Some onion cutting at the end, honestly. The very end, I was really pretty emotional.
Definitely, yeah.
Particularly with Wii, that was like, felt real rough. Just had everything you could want. And then, yeah, it was cool to watch the interviews afterwards. You don't get terrible amount of insight, but still pretty cool to hear what they have to say. And then the Sumail thing was pretty interesting as well. So yeah, very cool evening.
OG King, let's go.
Yeah, man, he was really humble. He was like, "I'm."
Wait, was he there?
Yeah, man, he was on the stage. Got revealed. They had this
little. No way.
Had a little intro vid. No tells like we've got an announcement to make. Here's this little video, and then it was going through all the TIs and a bit of hype, and then at the end it reveals OG Sumail, and then he comes out on stage and he sits with the OG boys and answers a few questions. So yeah, physical reveal, pretty cool. It was interesting. What I was going to say, he was pretty humble about OG and was like, I'm in a team that has achieved more than me, like 2 TI winners. He was like, I'm just really excited to learn, really hungry to learn, really hungry to play. Seb was giving him massive respect. They both were saying how in the past it was kind of Sumail would always give them so much problems because he's such a good player. Like they're really excited to work with him, etc. So
whenever they ask Seb who's the best Dota player, always says Sumail.
Yeah, big respect.
Yeah, Adam, welcome to the pods. You haven't seen TrueSight because you bleed blue.
Well, I was also at work.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, that doesn't help as well.
The reveal that Adam hasn't watched last year's TrueSight, though, is also insane.
Yeah, that was... I haven't watched last year's.
He also hasn't watched the actual TI finals.
Wait, this year's?
Round's that strong. Yeah. I hadn't seen... So, I didn't see the finals because of like a funeral, and then... I got spoiled by someone in a group me message. They're just like, well, I can't believe OG's done it. And I'm like, well, I don't want to watch this now. Like, there's no point after.
Yeah.
But now I've been told that it's brutal watching it from a Liquid perspective, and since I don't really like Liquid either, I'm going to watch it, and that way I can still kind of see the finals and see the feel bads.
Any Dota enthusiast has to watch the grand finals and just appreciate the level of Dota that was on display, because some of the games are just out of this world. And then on the back of that, if you watch the TrueSight, it's just even better experience really when you know exactly what's happened.
Yeah, it's true. I watched every game because we were knocking out the daily pods.
Sure,
I was watching all of them, and then just that weekend, I take a step away. I was like, okay, I'm going to do all the stuff in the day, avoid spoilers, and watch it at night. And I was like, well, dang.
Yeah.
It's out of the blue.
Yeah, and you had because you were going home. You couldn't do the pod, so you had no obligations.
Yeah.
let's spend a little bit of time on TrueSight then, just because it's fresh on my mind. Sorry, Adam. But I don't know about... You said how much you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it too, obviously. I felt like this one is almost indicative of the fact that they invited both Team Liquid and OG to this premiere, that it's really not narrativized in the same way that TI8 was, or TI7. I think it's partly because of criticism in the past about how that they make the team that loses into like some villain.
Quite biased.
This time they didn't, and I really felt like I was watching it. It's like kind of quite hard to watch at some points. Like it's so brutal.
Yeah, I think I was really surprised by how much time was given to Liquid post the tournament finishing. Like I felt like it was going to end, and then it just cuts to this Liquid shot for another few minutes. We just following them, and then you're seeing them with the family for ages and ages. It really went deep on both sides. Really, that was a nice balance. But yeah, pretty brutal some points.
Yeah. Also, I was saying before, just on chats to like group chats, but it was brutal for many reasons. I think because the series itself was brutal, other than the first game, so it's natural that that's going to be reflected a bit in the TrueSight. Also, because it's like OG had done it before, this was way more like cold, executed, out strategize, outplay kind of gameplay, and so OG aren't really, it's not like an emotional roller coaster, so OG there's no like real ups and downs. The only really story that Valve can make out of it is like kind of focusing a lot more on Liquid than you'd expect, because for OG it's almost too easy. It's almost like anticlimactic when they win.
Yep.
Even in the
Plus,
fourth
they didn't
game,
have any shoulder check to build up the story either.
Yeah. And I mean, TI8 was just like a ridiculous Cinderella story that like wrote itself. So this one was, I don't know if you felt like this as well. I did feel like this one was way more focused on strategy insight. You got a load more strategy drafting insight than in previous TIs, I thought.
Yeah.
Really big storyline was tied TA and like reacting to it and all the rest of it.
I think the fact that Liquid as a team, that TI and OG, and this was mentioned in the post interviews, they both had their own very well defined idea of how to play. And like you say, the TI TA carried Liquid to the grand finals. On the other hand, OG play completely different heroes. Tiny, like GH, well, I don't want to touch Tiny, but Tiny was the most broken standout hero for OG. They had these very different ideologies, and you saw them like come head to head, and OG did just masterclass them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The losses... sorry, go on.
No, all I was going to say is just, you mentioned Tiny and how it's funny that you think that pro players can play anything, but it's not true. Like, some players, they don't practice all the heroes. Like, GH doesn't want to play Tiny, like Liquid feel like they can't pick Tiny because they don't play it on POS 4. I thought that was like really interesting. And also, when they're like, oh, what about Bristle mid? And he's like, I can't do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting because almost in my mind, unreasonably, because obviously there's like 100+ heroes in Dota. It's not like everyone can play anything in any position. I thought it was quite cool to see those team dynamics. And also beyond the picks, the team dynamics of Team Liquid, where Kuro is really like dominant thought-wise, and he's telling his players like, don't talk, you're the best players, play, let me do the talking, and believe, all I need you to do is like believe in my calls, just trust me. Because he really felt like they were getting baited, by OG stuff. The random movements, we're getting baited, like we need to concentrate on what we're doing.
We need to play as a unit. If you all keep going off your own back, then we're all going to get tangled and pulled apart a little bit because we're not cohesive following this one order. It is kind of true, and Liquid, particularly watching it back in TrueSight, you do see a lot of choke plays. If you think about Mind Control, dying so much, Ravage blows, TA and Windrunner, we choked hard a few times. Like, you could really see that mentally the players
really stressed,
suffering, stressed as well. Yeah. The thing I was going to say about the losses, so you mentioned they're all 20 to 25 minute crushes by OG. It was brutal watching all those games, so game 2, 3, 4, and you could see in the Liquid faces and their eyes as they were like minutes away from GG, and they were crushed. They literally watering eyes every time, just holy shit, we have been annihilated in these losses.
It was, everything you say, completely right. it's almost amazing when you remember how brutal the games were. You've got to respect Team Liquid for like coming back, even right at the end of the last game where Weehar's like, I'm going to TP to the shrine on like win range, like we can get him, and then he TPs just insta dies. That had been happening. I was thinking like, oh man, that's got to suck for him. But like that kind of play had happened like throughout game 2 and 3, and this is game 4. They still somehow managed to stay positive a bit. But yeah, like you say, you can see it in their eyes. It really did feel like this TI, obviously way more than last year, because last year like LGD and OG were both the same level. I think it's quite reasonable to say they were both like the same level. But in this TI, Liquid really just didn't know what to do against OG, and it really felt like at the end when they lost, every one of them knew that they'd just been crushed. OG had crushed them, like they'd completely destroyed their conception, Team Liquid's conception of what good Dota was. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
I think game 4 as well was... So, I don't even remember this. When they did the draft, Kuroki and maybe someone else on the team, brutal, they were like, okay, it's going to be an Abaddon offlane, then it's going to be this IO it's going to be this IO no-tail. IO, yeah. They just kept spitting out these hero player combinations, and every single one of them was just wrong. It
was always wrong, yeah.
Always wrong, and then the game starts, and it's brutal because game 4 was going really well. They nearly won it. It was literally just the perfect timing of IO finishes Axe. He finishes his level 15, and then they finish the Greaves, and it just explodes. They were close, honestly, to pulling through that game. I really think they were close. I remember watching it, and they did kind of get baited a few too many times, perhaps, by these tanky heal sustain heroes, rather than just crushing the game that 2 minutes faster, which I think if they did, they'd beat the timing of OG, but OG too good at stalling, too good at distracting, got to that explosive timing that they knew would just eliminate the game. Like Jerax was like, we're going Rush, this is great for us, it's a minute more we've got to prepare. Calm, yeah. We don't need them to have Aegis, we don't care, it's better for us. And
it was so well the way that they did that Roche, because you've just been hearing team speak from Liquid of like, we can't be static ever, like we cannot be static with this strat, we have to run at them all the time. And then they're taking Roche, and it just pauses in silence for like 5 seconds as they're taking Roche, after you've just heard, we can't be static, gotta run at them always. And then it's like silently doing Roche, and you're like, man, yeah, that is good. I personally, just from watching all of OG's games when they won with IO, it's like, that last game never felt in doubt for me, because they've then, especially, they had IO strats where they were really far behind, and they come back anyway. And in this game, it's like, Topson was top net worth that whole game on Gyro. Like, it's kind of crazy. There's another point that's a parallel to what you were saying about how in that final game, Team Liquid were wrong always about the players and the picks and stuff. They got it wrong. Also, the bit in between game 2 and 3 where Seb's outside with OG saying like, we've destroyed their tied TA. Like, now they have nothing. Like, they have no idea what strategy to do. I promise you, like, they're thinking over there that, what are we going to do now? We can't pick Tai T anymore, but they don't know what to pick. Like, they have nothing. And then it cuts to Team Liquid, and it's Kuroki and talking like, I don't think we can pick Tai T anymore, but what can we do instead? And Miracle's like, I don't know, like, what can we do instead? And they're like racking their brains. It's like, it's like, damn, like, that's it right there, you know? The biggest rip moment, I don't know if you thought this, in the final draft, when Kuro's like, let's just pick heroes we want to play, like, look, we need to be confident on our heroes. And MC, who's been like dead and quiet and like suffering the whole series, like, comes out, like, quite a remarkable thing to say so strongly. He's like, I want to play Nature's Prophet, like, main stage. Like, I just want to play Nature's Prophet.
He's Prophet.
Yeah, he's a sick Prophet. And then Kuro's like, nah, maybe Omni Knight. I don't think Prophet's good against IO. And MC's like, no, it's good against IO. And he's like, what about Omni Knight? And MC's like silent.
No, but then he's like, how do I play Omni Knight? And he goes, play it like Seb. Play it like fucking mad.
Oh my god, it's so grim. Play Omni Knight like Seb does. And MC's like, what?
How?
It's such a weird thing to say that MC's like, how does he play it? What's so special about this Seb Omni Knight? And Kuro's like, I don't know what he says, but like, just to say something like that's kind of crazy. To say, just play Omni Knight like Seb. Okay.
Yeah, they definitely didn't respect the IO enough, and obviously hindsight 2020. But I do I know you could say Kuro's a bit too forceful there, but I do really believe in the draft to have been good enough. And I think if they did execute that a bit better on a different day or like if they're fresher, etc., I do think the draft could have stomped that game. The fresh point was pretty brutal in the post.
They played twice as many games.
Yeah, man. In the post interviews, it came up a lot. Like, I feel a bit awkward but honestly, Kuroki brought up like the fatigue point, the kind of stress, tired point a handful of times. And it was a bit awkward because it's like, oh, excuses, and OG is sat in front of you as you're being like, oh, we played shit and we're really tired and stressed. And it's like, yeah, that is probably a factor, but you know what I mean? People have won TI from lower bracket, maybe, like, whatever.
It's completely legitimate. They played twice as many games as Liquid, and if you're really tired and fatigued, like the worst team to play is OG.
Yeah,
like because that is literally the last team you want to play when you're like fatigued and stuff, because they will put you under loads of pressure. That's like that's their play style.
Yeah, so. It was. I can't remember this live, but in the True Sight it showed the game loading, and do you know when it shows the hero?
Oh yeah,
and then it's showing Anna, and it's like 48-8 win-loss over time.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, holy shit, that must hurt mentally to see that in the loading screen.
Yeah, Kuro's like, don't worry boys, it's Australian pubs with Archons, like just chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was True Sight, I think. I have to say this. I said this to Adam before you were here, Marco, but in the most classic Valve thing ever, in their own True Sight movie, they have replay bugs. Like, in their own True Sight movie.
Oh, do they?
They have... You know when they show the Meepo taking Throne at the end of Game 1?
Yeah.
All of the Meepos are hitting Throne, and they all have a stunned thing over them. And also the graphics bugs of all of the IO balls and the Phantom Embrace all having massive HP bars that aren't meant to happen. That doesn't happen. And stuff like this, and like there being I can't remember, but there was some other replay bugs. I thought that was like funny that they can't even get rid of replay bugs in their own True Sight. But yeah, True Sight as always is really sick and really crazy good animations as well. I'm sure everyone would have watched it. So
yeah, it really is a must watch. And also, I know we've been on about this a while, but my final point would be on Game 1, and the fact that Game 1 was so back and forth, wasn't a stomp. It had like positivity from both sides. It has cheese and strats from both sides. I really, really enjoyed watching the Game 1 True Sight stuff of like the throws and the mentality stuff and the Anna decision making choke was a choke and all that with Chanel's. So that in conjunction with then 3 stomps, it really was like an amazing True Sight and mix of everything. Just such a good watch. But yeah.
Game one got the most airtime, really.
Yeah,
it felt like because it was the closest game. So yeah.
Welcome Adam back to the pod. Hope you enjoyed that first-hand content.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, maybe I don't need to watch it. I just saw all of it.
Yeah.
For you guys rehashing.
Incredible descriptions. Let's talk about the major for a bit. I don't know how much we'll have to say on this. Feels like an unreasonably long time ago. But I think we all saw the grand finals. I actually didn't see Game 1, but other than that, we all, I think, have seen the grand finals. Team Secret win, Evil Geniuses second, Vici Gaming third, etc., etc., etc. A good major, Adam. Do you enjoy this one?
Yeah, it was fun to watch. It was brutal.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was a good tournament, but like the finals for the 5 games were giga stomps, so actually it wasn't that fun from that kind of a standpoint. Unless the result was switched and EG had won, then I would have been very happy, and it would have been the most amazing major ever, and every game would have been great.
Yeah, it was disappointing finals. The games weren't close other than one. Especially the final game. I thought the final game was probably the weakest game of all. I haven't seen Game 1, but the final game was so disappointing. It felt like... I said the same thing after when Eugene got knocked out of TI. Oh, was it TI? I can't remember when the like Sumail Viper memes were. But my takeaway from the finals, especially the last game, is there's no question it's a good Viper game. There's no question it's good. Well, I suppose I'm give Bulba the benefit of the doubt and Fly and the whole of EG is a good Viper game, I'm sure. But it's like I want Abed on a sick hero. Do you know what I mean? I don't. Maybe as a viewer, I'm just in a really biased perspective, but I just don't want to see Abed on a Viper. It's the same when they pick it on Sumail. It's like, it's fine, but not in an elimination game, not in a game 5. I don't know.
What was crazy about EG's final draft, they had Arteezy on Drow, Abed on Viper, and then Ramses on Underlord, and Fly was on Treant Protector, and they're against PL Kunkka Kors on the other team, and that's like a direct copy of an IG versus Vici Gaming draft early in the tournament, where one side had Kunkka PL and the other team had all 4 of those same heroes. So like EG almost straight up jacked this exact same draft. The only difference was Crypt played Dark Willow and instead of a Rubik. And so it's just so wild how they, IG or VG, I don't remember which team had that draft, but they'd like win against those 2 cores, but then EG does it and they get stomped by like 30K. And I think it comes down to in the original, they had like a Doom 3 on the other team, whereas Secret had Batrider. And it's just like so much, like the lineup was so much more active. They got low investment, high uptime. They just moved around the map with Enchantress and Tiny and Batrider, and they could just kill anybody at will. And just didn't let people like get to 40 minutes of farm on those 3 cores. And Batrider can actually deal with Underlord, get those napalm stacks up, and there's a lot of magic damage, or just lasso him out of position. Whereas Doom is much more, can't exert as much pressure on the map. So it's crazy how you can have 4 of the 5 same heroes, and yet you can lose by such an amount. Like, it's just so much. It shows how important, that one other hero is, or like what the other heroes are on the other team. Like, one hero can make such a big difference. I'm
going to bleed some blue and say it reminds me of last season's Dream League when we were in Stockholm and VP were lower bracket, went to the grand finals and lost in the 5th game to Vici. And similar here, EG played a 3-game series against Vici, the lower bracket, then a 5-game series against Secret. And again, that mentality, stress, strain point, they ran out of steam. And I feel like that's a factor in the last 2 games, NA bias, lol. But they definitely got slapped way harder than you would think they should.
Yeah, and it's a shame. Like, Arteezy was 2-1 up in a major final. That's a Pepe hands.
I know.
Because I love Arteezy. I don't dislike EG at all. I didn't care who won this series at all, actually, but I did kind of want EG to win just for Arteezy, because I want him to get a major, because it's like, he's obviously such a sick player, and it's unreasonable that he doesn't have a major. Do you know what I mean? It's like so unreasonable.
Yeah, I would shout out to game 4 and 5, both games. Secret had Tiny Ench, and I think both games, the Tiny Ench were just way too powerful and too strong. Tiny just gets so much work done. In game 4, it was Zyench getting bits done. Game 5, Puppy got like as much done as Zyench. It was mad. Those 2 heroes in particular, I felt really stomped.
I think this is a maybe too detailed a point for me to be able to make. This might be out of my pay bracket, as it were, but EG played Tiny Ench in game 2 and lost, but they lost to Secret playing a Meepo and a Skywrath mage, and in this game Yapsor got like an 11-minute ATOS or something obscene. Meepo obviously excellent against Ench, Skywrath mage excellent against Ench, especially when you get an 11-minute ATOS. And I think EG as a team, this has always been a criticism of them, and so I don't know how well founded it is. It might just be like a meme at this point, but they seem like they play much more rigid drafts than a Secret. Secret is like much more fluid. And it's the same with, say, Team Liquid. We just watched True Sight, but like Meepo was their Ench answer for them in the game 1 before it was banned for the rest of the series. And having that, being able to go there with like a funky way to beat out what is undoubtedly a sick like combo, Tiny Ench, in a normal game of Dota, and whatever a normal game of Dota is, just like kind of standard picks, as it were, standard strats, no cheesy, weird, gimmicky heroes like Meepo or Skywrath. they're going to be able to do insane work. So it's to Secret's benefit that they can pull out some Skywrath Mage, Monkey, Meepo to like counter what Hench wants to do particularly, and also Tiny.
Yeah, I mean, it's a point we've said about Secret a lot, how deep the drafts can go, and when you get to a BO5 as well, it really pulls through, and it did here. Best of 3, EG win it. They won the first 2 of the 3, but best of 5, it is just kind of a different ball game, and keep falling short, which feels real bad.
Yep.
Did you know that Enchanted Quiver worked with Monkey King previously on 7.23?
Yeah, so dumb.
What, is it not meant to just work ranged heroes?
Secret bug abuse, that's why they won.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, it works on all the Monkey King ult things.
So even...
They all get bonus.
Can you clarify?
300 bonus damage on the first hit for all of them.
Is that only meant to apply on ranged attacks?
No, it applies...
Or is it any attack?
You don't get the bonus attack range as a melee hero, but you still get the 8-second cooldown or whatever.
Well, every hit, the ult would proc 300.
Not anymore.
The first one. But now they got rid of it. So you
still have like 10 first hits in the ult.
Yeah, it's like, 3k damage or something. But,
yikes.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. Monkey King, huh? Some other random shout-outs. We haven't got a lot more to say, I suppose, on the major. I can only remember the grand finals, to be honest. But Abed was playing sick, especially on Storm Spirit. He had one crazy Storm Spirit game in the grand finals, game 3, and two crazy Storm... Oh, maybe just one crazy Storm Spirit in the game 3 of the lower bracket finals. So he was balling out. Nisha apparently can play Meepo. That's cool. I welcome that to the Meepo club that I hope to be a member of one day. And then, that's about it. I don't know who won MVP for the major.
I don't think they had that.
Oh, did they not have it? Oh, okay.
They just had it for the individual games. A Mercedes-sponsored tournament, was it?
No, that's the ESLs. No Merc for any of these players. Yeah, that's the major then. Congrats to Secret. Well done. To this patch then, 7.24, it came out literally the second the major was done, in true Valve fashion. There's a lot of lines of text. Obviously, we won't be going over all of them. I'm sure most of the listeners, if not all of the listeners, will have read the patch already or some parts of it, so we don't need to news, if you know what I mean. We're not like just running through like a news outlet of what all the changes are. So I think with that in mind, I think we can talk about any particular part of it that we find interesting. Adam, what do you think is the most interesting or impactful point of the patch that you'd say off the bat?
Oh man, so we're going to go general or hero? I guess
up to you. You can literally go anywhere. I really don't mind.
Oh, we go by stuff I want to try. Or stuff that, I think mid AA is good because of the level 10 talent. I think he's getting pushed in the direction of being more than just anti-HP, heal strat.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Anti-Alchemist, anti-Huskar.
Yeah, he got the kill threshold on his ult buffed early, and now extra range on his chilling touch. Plus, they changed the ags anyways to give you permanent chilling touch with and then you go Bloodstone or something. I think that seems kind of interesting. I'm also.
Do you think before you move on from AA? Do you think it's like a top tier support as well? You mentioned mid.
Oh, I think he's like he's still really good support wise.
S tier pos 5. Do you think
he was really popular at the major? He was getting banned.
Yeah, I already felt like he was in like an A tier support, and he gets.
Yeah, buffed. I think he's still A tier, probably S with certain lineups. Right. I think the S tier supports are Lich and Winter Wyvern. That's those two are like insane tier, but
or Disruptor.
AA, and Disruptor
in the last patch.
Yeah, but the AA is still really strong from a support perspective. I don't think you would go chilling touch range. I think you would go 10% spell amp at 10, and the reason why that I'm even talking about it is because they killed GPM talents. So they had to replace GPM talents on every hero with another talent. And
you called it.
The first thing you do is you have to look at all the level 10 talents, or all these classic supports that had level 10 90 XPM talents. You got to see what they got it replaced with to see if it's worthwhile. I think there's a decent chunk of talents that got replaced that are actually worthwhile. I really like the Veno plus 15-second Plague Ward duration, so your wards just last forever. Probably can get an extra wave of pushing, or extra half wave of pushing out of them. And just like the vision game perspective of that is really strong. Leave that on a high ground and see. And then Undying is the one. I think Undying might have got the most buffs from a support. Like his ult, his Flesh Golem, you get 30 move speed. You get the move so fast. The slow and like damage per second you apply once you hit lasts for a full extra second.
Be interesting to see where Undying fits, because he's been very much out of the meta for a long time, even in a meta that is, I feel like, lane dominated and has been. It's surprising that Undying is just completely ignored. Maybe this buff pushes him over.
He's very strong.
Yeah. As a 5, well, I suppose it doesn't matter, just as a lane support.
Yeah, a lane support, and then even, I mean, he could 3. It's possible because he does have strength scaling from his ult, so that is interesting. I don't know why. I mean, obviously in a patch with PL being very good, Undying is bad, so that's probably part of it. But Tombstone fight over an outpost, like that just seems like it would go together really well.
We mentioned that GPM talents are gone. Marco, what heroes do you think in particular suffer from this?
I think so. Obviously, all the level 10, 90 GPM talents take a bit of a hit. Like Disruptor, popular because he has that GPM. Even for someone like Phoenix, he had that level 10 talent.
Winter Wyvern, yeah.
Did Wyvern have one? Okay, so
Wyvern had one at 10, yeah. Disruptors is at 20, but yeah.
Oh, Disruptors at 20. But they do really make a support that bit better. CM is another one at 15. She did have 150. And I feel like that fairly hurts her because the alternative is now just minus 2 seconds.
I think that's strong.
Mm.
It's 6 seconds, and then the uptime on the slow, it might last that long. I don't know.
Maybe. My view is that I'd rather my CM have an item than more Crystal Novas to spam. But I guess
I think that's why Ice Frog did it. Is he doesn't want heroes to just sit back. It's like speeds up.
Yeah.
Or slows down the game, depending on how you look at it. But you don't want... was a problem is like you would get far ahead, and then the other team would just sit up. Like they would turtle, and they would just have GPM talents, and they would come out. He's just like, we're stomping the game. Why does their Crystal Maiden have an item now?
Yeah. I'm really happy they're gone, personally. I don't think... It just didn't really... Especially with neutral items, I don't think you need to help supports get items and like be more fun to play or whatever. They've addressed that with some of the other changes, so it makes sense to take out these GPM talents. And it's weird when some heroes have them, some heroes don't. It's like kind of just a bit weird.
It gives too much favour to a small pool of supports. And like you say, it was a year ago that, or even more, that these GPM talents existed, and then over the course of last year there were a lot of quality of life changes which predominantly help supports, and so it's like it kind of does make sense that they don't need the GPM anymore.
Free couriers, free obs wards, stuff like that.
Sentries are cheap as dirt, dust cheap, whatever. And so it does distort the game a bit, like Adam says, the turtle or just delaying, it's a bit gimmicky.
But also now you can they also made it, you can only have one neutral item. So it also goes with it, like, you can't just throw 3 neutral items on a support.
Yeah.
Carrying stuff around, so it is interesting.
I think, particularly Disruptor, because his Ags has become such a, like, game-winning GG item, that GPM talent really helped him get there. 120. If you got to level 20, you'd pretty much get that ags like quite comfortably because 180 is a big chunk. Wyvern, like we mentioned before, is a hero that we've seen this hero be played pos 3. It's obviously a hero that does well with gold, so it's another one that hurts. Ogre Magi, again, that one hurts. That's a level 20 at 90 GPM. Those ones in particular are difficult, I suppose. We mentioned one neutral item per hero. I think this is another good change. I don't know do you guys agree that you're happy with that? And I don't know if you've had a chance, Marco, to see the new neutral item shop thing.
Not seen it yet.
I like the shop. I like everything about it except for you have to have another hotkey.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I don't like about it.
That's true. Yeah,
that's hotkey for what?
Well, you have a slot now. You have a neutral item slot, so it's a whole other, like when they changed TPs have a slot, you had to have a hotkey for that. Now there's a slot above TPs, so you need another hotkey for that. So now I'm using a mouse button for the first time, which is interesting.
I'm using H at the moment. Imagine reaching over to H for a neutral item hotkey.
Yeah, I'm running out. I don't have any mouse keys.
Do we have to go like legacy mode and start doing like Alt A and like Alt S and all this weird stuff? I don't know how people do that. I have no idea how people do that. It's an interesting one because you've got another slot in your inventory now because you've got 6 inventory slots and a neutral item slot. But on the contrary, you can't have like 3 neutral items. You know, when they drop at 7, you can't just put, or at 15, you can't just put 3 neutral items on your Huskar with like a dragon scale and like an arcane ring and blah blah. So it's an interesting change. I think
that's a nice change because it's only the supports, or typically those supports that would have more than one, really. And so
yeah. Well, I don't know. You can slap them all on like a carry if you want.
It's rare. On the whole,
it worked out.
On the whole, you'll typically see supports of more so, and really say your other cores have all got 1 just on average, then they don't really get affected by the change because they've still got 1 in the. Wait. Oh wait, I feel like. Oh no,
Leah Husker had 3 tier 3s on at one time. I feel like that was pretty common to. You have a people's gift on a hero, and then
it made it more gimmicky in general. Yeah. Like you had the option to put 3 on one hero, and then you had this really quite silly situation where there's a hero that's maybe 3rd in net worth, but he's got 3 neutral items on him, and his effective strength is way higher than any other hero on the map because of this distribution of neutral items. Now that it's a forced, and that was quite gimmicky, and now that it's a forced 1 on each hero, it just fits a bit better. It's a bit
you can't
smoother.
Snowball as hard.
No.
Right? You can't just have a TA with 3 items on, like basically 6 slotted, maybe 4.5 slotted off of actual items worth of stuff, but it would just snowball the game even harder. So that I do like that. And to compensate, they moved your backpack slots from 4 back to 3 because you don't have need to carry around all these neutral items now. It's really actually quite like intuitive to do. It's like you pick up a neutral item and you're like, okay, I don't need this. You right click it and you just teleport it back to the base.
It's really nice
from where you are. And then there's like another shop in the fountain now that has all the neutral items, and you can just get it shipped out to yourself from the courier.
Yeah, I really like the way they've done the shop for the neutral items. I feel like it's really intuitive and simple to use. The way that they have it, also the new shop, how you can click through basic, advanced, neutral, or whatever, like the 3 types of items. When you click on neutral, they have the 4 slots for each, which is a new thing. It used to be 3, now it's 4. 4 slots for each tier of neutral item, and they're really big buttons, and it has the hero icon for which hero has that one, or an exclamation mark if it's available. If it's available, you click it, your courier starts bringing it out to you, and then when it's brought out to you, the one that you had, you can just right click it and teleport it back to the base, and it instantly goes into that shop and is now an exclamation mark for someone else to pick up. And it just is so. It's really nice to use, and the fact that you can instantly teleport them back there, I like that. I think they've found, I think, perhaps a happy medium for a lot of people, myself included, that was really starting to feel skeptical and have doubts about neutral items. I would have been happy if they'd been removed in 7.24. What they've done is, I think,
Tempered
definitely a step in the right direction. It's now way more reasonable, and I think they keep the fun aspect of it that I know they're going for.
I even like that they increased it from 3 to 4, because now since you can only carry one, almost your whole team has a tier 1 item at minute 7, and then like by the time the tier 2s drop, everybody's going to have a neutral item, so it's more like fair in a way.
Yep.
It's not like
unless you're Meepo. Have you seen the Meepo bug?
I heard about that.
Yeah. If you pick up a neutral item on Meepo, it immediately thinks that 4 of your heroes have picked one up, and so you don't no more drop. Apparently,
I'm sure it's already been
probably
fixed.
Yeah.
Oh, and also ancients drop them 3 times more.
Yeah.
So if you have like if a TA or some ancient farmer, I've seen it where a TA can kill like 1 dragon camp and get 3 neutral items right there.
Yeah. That's another change. Remove shrines. So the shrines are gone. Outposts are no longer where they are. They're now in where the shrines used to be, kind of. They're in the primary jungles. No more shrines at all on the map. That, to me, seems like quite a big change. You can now TP to your, Roche side jungle, your primary jungle on Dire. You can't on Radiant. There's no more shrine to TP to near Roche. That's quite a big change, do you think, Marco? Just both the removal of shrines and the location of them now?
Yeah, I'm not sure what I feel about this shrine change, because
big Dire advantage.
Why? Because
Roche control.
But haven't outposts replaced the shrine?
Well, the outpost for Radiant is in the middle of their primary jungle. It's not in the middle of their triangle.
It's like far away. Now, if you were Radiant and you've taken the Dire outpost,
that's true.
Then it's great for you. It's just like, I think that's going to be a point of contention, and Pro is controlling that thing, because if you buy back, you have no outside towers. Where do you go? Like, how do you get to the fight for Roche?
That's weird. I don't know why they would get rid of that nice mirrored. Right, both teams have a TP possibility near Roche. That's a bit weird to get rid of. In terms of getting rid of shrines as a just building that exists, I liked shrines, honestly. I liked it offensively. In terms of you go shrine, it allows you, if you get this multi-man heal, you can put your foot down again and get moving. I also liked it defensively. You can put up a fight when you're around your shrine. You could be getting shafted, but then it's like, we've got this strategic shrine we can fight around. Okay, we've got a bit of a chance. Do you feel like both sides could benefit? I never really had an issue with shrines. Maybe they think if you've got your own courier, it's a bit excessive now. There's maybe a bit, but even then, I don't know. I don't know about this getting rid of shrines, honestly. But what Adam's point, I think, sounds really bad.
I echo your sentiment about shrines as a building. I guess I quite liked having them. Do you know what I mean? I don't know
if
for
shrine
sure,
existed but it didn't heal? It was just a building you could TP to. I mean, I guess that's what they kind of are now. Or the outposts are, but
the new outposts are weird. It's funny because when outposts were first put in Outlanders, I didn't like them, and I sort of came round to them by the end. And now they've moved them, and I don't like them again. So maybe in a couple months I'll like them or something. But
I hate them now, solely because they don't give you like any vision anymore. I understand the 1400 flying vision was very strong, especially since you couldn't juke through trees or do anything, and it was true sight. But it went from 1400 flying to 700 ground, and there's trees around it too. So it gives you like an eighth of a vision a ward would. It just seems completely useless to control from a vision standpoint. And I guess that part of the point, it's really only for like TPing out, and then also for the 10-minute XP boosts.
Yeah, it's because of where they are now, it's sort of weird. It constricts the map, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I know when Outpost came out in their original position, I was sort of felt a bit weird about how isolated they were. But as the game's gone on, it's kind of feels like where they are now constricts it a lot, and oftentimes you'll just randomly be moving through the map like on a roam, and you just walk past the shrine and be like, oh, okay, I guess I'll take that, I guess, rather than before it was like an objective. I don't know if this is just the natural 4K Dota have to watch pro games for a while before they realise how big of an objective it is, but I feel like it's easily less significant.
I think people are going to be skirmishing big time still.
But it's so easy. They're so much easier to control now. So it just feels like there's less. It's like harder to pull it off. To me,
is there only one outpost now?
No, there's two. They're just in their own jungles. But it's like it's so much easier to make a play. Like if you're like, oh, let's make a play like top in this isolated area. Now it's like you're making up. You're like, it's like you almost have to dive.
You're deep in their jungle.
Yeah, you're like diving just to try and take an outpost. It's like they just can TP in, or they can TP into their tier 2 or tier 1 or their mid tier 1, and they can just connect like so comfortably. Whereas before it's like, maybe that is better because before you had no real way of contesting. If you didn't have map control, the team would just waltz to the outpost and take it.
Yeah.
Maybe now you can put up more of a fight because you're closer to your own stuff.
Yeah, so it sounds like now this high reward is matched with higher risk. Maybe because, like you say, you've got to dive into the enemy woods if you want to get this second outpost and XP bonus. I feel like the fact that it's a bit new and unknown, whilst it gets figured out, it'll be cool, interesting to see. Bit of a different strategic dynamic. Maybe more of an interesting one. I do think could bring a more interesting one because now, like the position's a bit more in the map. A new cool thing is the fact you can now TP to the enemy side of the map for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of mechanic that has never... I guess you can, BOTs to a creep wave, but in terms of, just teleport go somewhere, that's quite cool. That could be pretty strong when you're ahead to help with tempo stuff, maybe help connect, particularly in the mid and late game when your towers are gone and there's no TP outlets for, say, the position 3, 4, 5, you don't have travels. Now that possibility being there is pretty strong. Buybacks and getting back to your team, genuine point. That's, again, if you don't have travels, big outlet. So there's quite a few unknown.
Also, there's unknowns in terms of will teams, maybe you've seen it before where you lose your safe lane tier 1 and suddenly the enemies are playing in your primary jungle and you're sort of naturally playing through your off lane in their enemy jungle. Maybe now that dynamic shifts a little bit and teams are like, we need to defend our own primary jungle more vehemently. Maybe something like that happens. I don't know. Maybe it will go even more the other way where you'll often see teams taking the enemy's outpost very commonly and then it working out like that. Who knows? Be interesting to see though. It's more outposts are now more part of the established map, obviously, because they're in jungles, they're in areas that are heavily contested and walked through and fought around anyway. Whereas before they're completely out of the way, and you only ever went there once outposts were in the game. There's no other reason to be there. Whereas now they're part of the existing map, so that dynamic could be interesting. In terms of any other changes in this patch, Marco? Is there anything that caught your eye?
I think the Mars buffs are welcome. Otherwise, no hero really stood out to me. There was a lot of fairly minor changes. The obvious strong common heroes like your Magnus got touched up a little bit, to be expected, but nothing crazy. I mean, the Snapfire Void Spirit additions in Captain's mode is a big add of spice to the pro scene. We'll see how that plays out.
Yep, I agree. No real big standouts. Pugna got... How much agility did Pugna get? It doesn't really matter, but he got 8. That's cool. You never see a line like that. You never see base agility.
Oh, Silencer got it once.
Oh, yeah? For agility?
Agility, yeah. That's... So every now and then an hero will get some agi and he's like, you want me to right-click with this thing?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. There was no real standout hero changes. A lot of neutral item changes that none really stood out.
Tier 5's at 60 minutes, sir.
Oh yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
We actually get to play with them.
Yeah, we actually get to use them. The difference between 60 and 70 is like, because it's exponential, the number of games that end before 60 or versus before 50 versus before 40. It's like exponentially less games the later
I have
you go on.
so many 61, 62 minute games. I have so few. I think I had 3 70-minute games in all of 723. So I got to see the tier 5 items like 3 times. And I think he actually, IceFrog actually wants people to play with them. So
yeah,
it's good to shift it down. I mean, they all got made a little bit worse because they're dropping 2 minutes earlier, but that's fine. I'll take it.
It's like, be careful what you wish for as IceFrog, because it's like, now that they're coming in at 60, are we going to see them way more and just realise how stupidly imbalanced they are? And like,
well, they got rid of 2 more.
True, yeah, they did. Rest in
Fusion
peace.
Rune was dumb, so that's good that they got rid of it.
Yeah.
But then Phoenix Ash was very mediocre for, like, that was one of the worst things you could get, so that got removed too.
I do think that there's still massive differences in the relative strength of these. Like, if you get Book of the Dead, like, versus Fallen Sky, like, what? Fallen Sky is absolutely insane. Like, this item's insane. It's been buffed. You don't even need to buy... Before it was like you had to buy a Meteor Hammer and a Blink. Now both of them come in already. And it is just as far... Like, it blows my mind how good Fallen Sky is. Versus Book of the Dead, it's like you get Necro Creeps that get, like... I know they've got more health now, but... I mean, I don't know. I mean, you got Necro
I think
Creeps.
Book of the Dead is actually decent.
Which ones do you think's the worst? Ex Machina?
That one...
You did get 20 armor, actually.
It seems... That one seemed mediocre when it dropped in my game. The Seer Stone, I mean, cast range...
I think that one's sick.
It's good, but like comparative, I mean, or a ballista.
Yeah,
if you have a sniper with a ballista, especially this new ballista, instead of 400 attack range, is 250. It gives 30 pure damage, but I don't know. I think Fallen Sky is very great. It's probably the best one. Apex plus 75 primary attribute instead of percentage. I think that one's still amazing.
Yeah. I think Mirror Shield's not that good, honestly. Like, an 8-second cooldown on a Lincoln.
Yeah.
An 8-second Lincoln is, like, kind of not that good. I don't know. Although, when it first came out, it was, like, maybe the most insane one. When it was 75% chance to block anything. It's like, okay, that's actually bonkers.
You can't Woodland Strider's meme anymore.
What did they change about that?
So, the trees that you make last 15 seconds instead of 60. So you can't just... run around your ancient and plant trees and no one can get to it. Like, they're going to disappear before the next cooldown.
Damn. One change that we haven't mentioned yet that is actually really noticeable, like genuinely really noticeable in the games that I played, is the increase to hero respawn time in early levels. I don't know if you've noticed this, Adam, but in my games, I was like, I don't want to say shocked, but like I was really taken aback at how much longer heroes were dead for at level 1, particularly.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It doubles. Like, they're dead for 12 seconds at level 1. Like, that's long. Like, genuinely makes a difference to getting kills. Like, if you get kills really early in lanes, you're rewarded so much. It's an extra creep wave often. Like, it's like more
especially
free
if you can shove the wave into their tower, right? And then the creeps die before they get back.
Yeah,
they can miss out on so much XP.
You have 6 seconds more to do anything. You have 7 seconds more to do anything at level 2. You have 8 seconds, scaling like that. It's like really noticeable. Even level 5, it's like the difference between 16 seconds and 24. That early in the game, that 8 seconds is massive. So I think that's a massive change.
You might get neutral denies more. again now. It's like not that much worse to neutral deny.
Yeah, Marco, you gonna say something?
It is a strange change because that incentivizes kills very high because now it is another wave you can deny. But it wasn't like laning was lacking this incentive for fighting and getting kills. So it's an interesting addition because, I don't really see why it's been added.
What the motive is.
Well, yeah, I don't know what the motive is because people are flying in for kills all the time anyway. But now, if you do so, you're rewarded way more. And so that's a snowball effect waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is a way of, you have so many supports that would just buy a ton of mangoes and like just spam spells and then, die and come back and be refreshed and just spam spells. I wonder if it's a way of kind of like punishing it because also they nerfed mango, which I think is might actually be one of the most felt changes. Instead of giving it 125 mana on usage, it's 110. And I can just say that I definitely felt it as Lich because they also nerfed his Q mana cost. So I definitely popped it and did not have enough mana to cast a Q, so I had to pop another one just to be able to, cast spells.
Yeah, maybe the motive is to try and counter the prevailing metagame of support laners of just buy tons of mangoes and it's like a sustain. You're not trying to get kills, you're just trying to work through their regen. Maybe it's something against that. But like Marco said, I don't think it was a particularly stale laning stage.
Yeah, I think Adam makes a good point that it's rather than incentivizing and encouraging the offensive more, it's kind of, for the cores in the lane, it's more, if you're a support, your deaths now do mean more, so you shouldn't, or it's probably not as optimal to throw your body on the line as much.
Right.
Potential. Right. But either way, if you're a core, particularly in the mid lane, is what I think of the most. If you get that mid lane kill now, you are, like you say, you're getting another wave of XP, and that is real.
You're losing a whole wave of XP to your tower if you die mid.
Yeah.
And I think that's almost worse. It might be more snowball-y.
Yeah,
it's not so much that you get. It's not that you get the wave uncontested; it's that they don't get the wave.
Yes. Yeah. So then they TP back level 3, but you're level 4. That can start getting rough.
It's an interesting one for the mid dynamic. Although it's been difficult for quite a while to get solo kills mid. I say difficult, like when Dota's been played optimally, which is obviously nowhere apart from like 8K games. So
but maybe it would have been different Game 5 finals with all those deaths in the mid.
Perhaps.
Maybe the Kunkka wouldn't have been able to recover as much if he kept dying like that.
Yeah. It would have been Crit and Yaps or whatever would have been the true carries in that game because the mids kept trading and then the supports were waiting for them to come back, like hitting creeps, waiting for them to come back. And it would have been twice as long for them to come back. So Yapsaw and Crit would have been the true cause in that Game 5 if that happened.
What's interesting, you could say that this change means maybe the tri-lane mid comes back more now that, say, the pros are like, well, if my mid dies, the enemy mid gets this slight advantage and they're so good they'll just snowball the game. All right, now we need to bring that second hero, now we need to bring that third hero just to make sure they don't ever die and lose the mid advantage. It makes me think of the Quinn CCNC. He's like, oh, I missed the range creep, or I got that range creep CS rather than it be denied. I won the game. Do you remember that? And it's like,
I remember that.
TA versus Meepo.
Yeah. So maybe try-lane.
You glyph the level 2 poof so he can't get level 3 Meepo, second Meepo.
Yeah.
That was huge.
I hated that back when you could glyph, straight away in the game.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you still on that point? There's a one bullet line that I really like.
No, I was going to move on to another thing.
The one I really like, melee attacks now have 150 bonus range against obs and sentries.
That's what I was going to say.
Damn right. What a quality of life, honestly. It does feel a bit dumb when you're some melee heroes, or sometimes the way the enemy's planted the ward, you can just reach it, but then other times you can't, and you just sat at the bottom of the cliff like an idiot.
you're telling me as a melee support I don't have to buy a Quelling Blade now?
Yeah,
I mean, it
that's
wouldn't
honestly
even work
really
now
big.
because Tangos and Quelling Blade and Iron Talon don't work against wards now.
Yeah.
But it feels so good, just to walk up and be able to punch a ward and D-ward. It's like, why, it felt kind of, it's just a quality of life. Feels bad as a melee support, like I have to buy this item solely the D-ward. Because otherwise, just how many other times have I been playing a game like, hey, can anybody help over here? Can I get a ranged hero? And like you put up your sentry, it lasts 12 seconds. By the time they walk over, it's gone. And it's like, okay, I guess if I was good, I'd bring out a courier and have it sit over top. But
Yeah, all those times there's a slot pouncing over the cliff, doing some crazy gymnastics just to get the ward.
Yeah, drive by, pounce over the spot and try and get a drive by Quell or whatever.
Very interesting for laning. The D-ward battle is going to come down to whether or not you have both of your heroes that can hit the ward, or between which support has more attack speed. Like Dark Willow is probably going to win every single D-ward battle. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you can't just pop a tango, eat a ward real fast. It's going to be this battle of two slow hits. So base attack time heroes are going to be very strong in D-warding in lane. And I guess that means no double regen tango off of wards.
Yeah.
Feels bad.
Eating a ward was always... It changes. I suppose you do have true sight. Another thing, I'm just thinking for mid, it basically makes it impossible to D-ward in the lane and get the gold for it, because if you ever attack it, they'll just deny it instantly. Do you know what I mean? It's not possible to D-ward unless you have a hero there to help you. Unless they're far away. Yeah, unless they're far away, or you have two. Because if you ever pop your sentry and they're anywhere near, they're not going to hit it. And as soon as you hit it, they're going to deny it. So there's nothing you can do about it. So that's kind of weird.
It all comes down to attack speed and then projectile speed. I definitely had tried to kill a ward, and my arrow was just flying. So I think it was Enchantress, just please get there. Did not get there.
I don't know what you guys think about this, but Slardar, 10 movement speed. That's pretty nice. Slardar's a hero that loves movement speed.
Man.
I feel like Slardar could be.
Boxy was playing him every game for Team Liquid.
At the major?
Yeah, man. Every game.
Nice.
Clapping Boxy with Slardar, so...
They did nerf the bash early.
A little bit, yeah.
I guess to compensate, but...
Level 1.
I don't... Yeah, that's scary. Slardar is really scary already, just in lane, because the whole, League of Legends mechanic, every fourth hit, watch out. That's
Is that a league thing? Do they have that in league a lot?
They have lots of heroes champs
hey.
that do that, where it's every fifth hit this thing happens, or every
And you can prep it, on Slardar. It's pretty strong, you can prep a bash, hit again, then use W, the drill.
Yeah. Move speed talents are always super underrated, so...
Yeah, movement speed is no doubt massively underrated. It's the only reason some heroes exist. Ursa, Lifestealer, they came flying into the meta just from movement speed.
Yeah.
Well, especially since
Lesh wasn't a race car, it just wouldn't be the same.
Mm.
Yeah, this is a 10 movement speed buff on a hero that already gets a move speed amp. You know what I mean? So it's with sprint, so it's going to be even more felt later in the game.
Jug got 5 movement speed and 4 base damage. Try and gently get that guy back into games.
Get back into shape, yeah. I was very surprised to see Void Spirit untouched. I was really expecting, usually when Ice Frog puts a hero into Captain's mode, it's with a healthy dose of nerfs. Do you think Void Spirit or Snapfire will be some broken in pro games? Because I have a sneaking suspicion that Void Spirit will be insane in the hand of pros.
I think Snap will be more insane.
Okay.
Is Void Spirit's win rate still pretty bad though?
It's not good.
Around 50.
Yeah.
I think they're both going to be popular and both be fleshed out. I'm sure the optimal Void Spirit build has not been found yet.
Really? I think
And then it's
People
going to
look really
happen.
on it.
A pro's going to do it, and it's be like, oh my gosh, this is obnoxious. It's just the amount of.
At the moment, it's settled on Phase, Yule's, Orchid. That's like the super common one now.
Yeah, I do think Yule's is
cool.
optimal. I really do.
It's so good.
But every
offensive and defensive.
Yeah, the offensive, defensive, the movement speed, mana regen, damage, build up, just everything he wants.
But beyond that, that's when it gets interesting. I've seen, Bloodstone, Kaya and Sanj or whatever, Maelstrom like it was back in the day.
Deso, Basher. Like, there's some really obnoxious stuff you can do. If you do Deso, you just ult through someone and the support just blows up. Or if you do Basher, you go through a line and you can bash everybody.
Yeah.
And then that's a little more glass cannon, but probably just some Yule's BKB Orchid. But I just in a pro situation, watching heroes, or teams play around with Snap and Void, it's going to look crazy because there's going to be Glimmer Capes, there's going to be 4-staff saves, so they're just going to look even more crazy. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much it. There were some other, I think, quite interesting changes that we don't really have time to discuss, but big buffs to armlets, 6 more damage, and Mask Commander's got 5 damage.
Getting your courier killed doesn't kill your GPM.
Yep. That too. Some changes to Daedalus and Crystallis about the crit being nerfed but the damage being buffed. Slight nerf to Chain Lightning on Maelstrom, fine.
Oh yeah, Battle Fury
All
got
that stuff.
More
damage.
Yeah, 6 more damage and more cleave damage against heroes, albeit less cleave damage against creeps. I do think that's a net positive. I don't think the cleave damage against creeps really matters.
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas
more
now,
regen too, right?
Yeah, slightly.
Yes, slightly more mana regen. But now it means you can be man fight better in that mid game.
They made the Perseverance better, like the 2 components.
Honestly, get ready for Void Battle Fury again.
Well, there was a meta where everyone was going Battle Fury. That was the Battle Fury meta. Do you remember that? RTZ went Battle Fury on PL, and then that's when everyone realised it was stupid. When you saw it on TB and PL. I even built it on a Chaos Night in one of my pubs. Sent Icewalk the replay, and then it was changed.
I've already had a game where we dumpstered the other team. Other team had Jug, and we finished the game before he finished Battle Fury. So I'm glad to see that's still in the meta of heroes not finishing Battle Fury before the game's over.
I hate PAs that go Battle Fury. It's so bad. I mean, it can be good, obviously, but in my games, it's just always a disaster because you'll be losing the lane. You'll be behind, and your PA's still going Battle Fury, and it's oh god, game's going to be over. It's weird that Radiance got nerfed. I didn't even think it was good. I don't even think Radiance is that good at the moment. So it's funny that got nerfed. I don't think Radiance heroes are that big.
Yeah. Can I mention one more?
Yep, you can have the final word.
Yeah. Techies.
Pure or magical, or whatever.
Blast Off goes from pure to magical, which means if you build magic resist, you do less damage to yourself. So if you have a hood or a pipe, also you have a really strong magic resist talent already, like a 25% magic resist talent, I think. And then they changed his GPM talent. Well, he doesn't have it anymore, and now they replaced it with minus 28 second blast off cooldown, which moves it to 7 or 8 seconds. And it's a 900 damage with the 15 talent. Yeah, at 10 you go magic resistance, 15 you go blast off damage plus 300, and then 20 you go minus 28 second blast off cooldown. Then it's down to 8 second cooldown, 900 AoE, 7 second silence. And if you're using Hood with the magic resist talent, you're actually not doing any damage to yourself that much. You can get multiple off in a fight. Also, you can buy a blink dagger and blast off in and blink out before they can hit you. Because that doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't think blast off damage affects your blink. So
Minotaur Horn, man. Get Minotaur Horn and then you can blink out.
That's so play. I just feel like it might actually be good. And I don't that's just a PSA. I don't want to I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying it might actually be a plague on your pubs.
Yeah. Is this is the taco at level 10? You take this talent. At level 20, you take this talent, and at level 25, you uninstall the game because you pick techies.
Mm-hmm.
That's the rule. That's episode 72. Some good chats, I think. True Sight, Major, and 7.24. Didn't even have time for How Have Games Gone. That's how action-packed this pod was.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
My games are bad.
Well, yeah, I could certainly join you with that. I mean, my games have been awful, so maybe next time we'll have that segment, for better or for worse. But until then, enjoy this final whistle as always, and we'll see you again soon.